Give me some sense of where you think we are in the sort of evolution of television that gets us to more activity around things like addressability and data targeting. Are we at the beginning stages? Are we kind of migrating? Are we made some,
I think we're pretty near the beginning stages, and I think you'll see more uptake of all three of the elements of precision TV, as I like to call it. Addressable TV, the one that has obviously gotten the most uptake, and that is moved past the nascent stage. We're starting to see the accelerated growth. I mean, I know a lot of people say 1% of TV spending isn't a lot, but it's actually pretty impressive. Audience index programmatic, a little bit behind, OTT a little bit behind, but I do feel that over the top is going to be the end game. That is where all TV will eventually migrate. You'll see varying rates of growth, I think, over a period of time for all three of those, but eventually all TV will be delivered via IP, and I think that will open up a lot of possibilities and make things simpler. I mean,
so assuming that then,
yeah.
What does that mean then for the function of advertising if it's all delivered or mostly delivered through digital or IP means?
Well, I mean, I think that there still is going to be a place for context and mass reach that we see today. I think it might be a little bit different. I think it opens up the opportunity for the reaggregation of reach. We've seen over the last 20 to 30 years with the rise of cable channels and mobile viewing and desktop viewing that there's a fractionalization. And that means, the top-rated TV program is just on a straight line down. I Love Lucy did a 60. Now, football does, I don't know, an 8 to 10. So it's made it much, much harder to get reach. And you can't reaggregate the reach because you don't know what's reach and what's frequency, right? We can't tie television to a digital view and say, did we see that person before? But once you move towards all IP, and now we have a limited number of identifiers that we can match in a DMP, now you can know exactly what is reach and what is frequency. So now that fractionalization can sort of be reaggregated. So there still will be that, you'll still want that reach against a broad target. But you also will have another tool, which is the ability to target a more granular audience and do it on an impression by impression basis to reduce or eliminate waste. And I think those two tools will be used in combination. We'll have a more sophisticated way of blending those two techniques to get at whatever goal a marketer has.
It almost sounds, though, that marketers will coalesce into two sort of expectations, maybe one or the other, perhaps hybrid, but probably one or the other, right? One which is, help me continue to aggregate brand because I need that scale to make a viable business for my products and services.
Yes.
But others that specifically only want to micro-target certain identifiable folks of a certain limited scale, but know that the attentiveness and the interest is going to be higher. How do you balance
that option?
How do you balance the two types of marketer demands, the sort of brand-oriented marketer and the, shall we say, performance or KPI-driven marketer with advanced television?
Well, I think that's going to depend upon the brand and what they're selling. Targeting probably works better for certain types of marketers. If you're selling something that has a very low price, it is harder to make that pay out for if you have to pay a premium for targeting. So that type of an advertiser probably leans more towards brand advertising, unless they can find pricing that makes sense for them to target. I also think you need to look at, well, what is the data telling you about what is the response to that advertising? So in some brands in certain categories may find that it's really hard to convert someone who is a category buyer but does not buy your brand. There's two very different things. It's much easier to get somebody who's already buying your brand to buy more than to convert somebody who's a category buyer who doesn't buy your brand to start to switch. And so, you can't divorce it from A, what's your goal, and B, how hard is it to achieve that goal, and C, what does it cost to take that tack? All of those have to be taken into account. So I think it will really be bespoke for each brand and their situation and what they're trying to achieve.
All right, and you sit in a major agency holding company, and you're basically a conduit for all this activity across lots of different brands and lots of different people involved.
Mm-hmm.
How will you balance the sort of historic separate functional expertises of television buying and digital buying to make what arguably is a combination of those two happen?
Well, I think it has to happen. I don't think anybody disputes that, and I think that we're well on our way on that path. But it takes time. But I think we have to do that because you can't. Today, I think things have operated more in silos because you really can't meld those results and see how they actually impact each other. But we're seeing more and more ability to do that with market mix modeling and last touch attribution and things like that, where we're seeing the results of one way of advertising, how it impacts another, or which ones perform better. And so in order to get the best results for our clients, we have to be holistic. It also has to do with price, right? What is the relative pricing of those two things, and that has to impact how you utilize them. So if we operate in silos, we're not doing the best for our clients.
One last question is more on the other side of the equation, on the sell side, right? The media companies, the purveyors of potentially things like addressable targeted advertising. Why isn't there more of it out there today, and what maybe can be done to grow this business and make that a more viable sales proposition for your clients who, sounds like, are more and more interested in it?
So if you're saying, well, why isn't it more of that happening in addressable television? I think that has to do with the relationship that has historically existed between distributors, like MVPDs, and networks, which has been all about the subscriber fee and the distribution. How many homes are you in, and how much are you getting paid per month for each of those homes? And that has been a contentious relationship. It's been one that I think has favored programmers. And that's why those fees go up regularly, and the cost of a pay TV subscription goes up regularly. But I think you're starting to see that that's fraying. We're basically at the point where you're kind of near the maximum price that the marginal customer is willing to pay for pay TV, and that's why you're seeing these numbers come out, like ESPN having a smaller distribution. And so I think we're starting to see that the two sides need to come together a little bit, and hopefully they will come together and find a way to share either the cost and the benefits of implementing addressable, because we need to go. I mean, we talk about, well, it's only 1%, and certainly we could go beyond that, but MVPDs only control a certain percentage, so we will cap out. I mean, you can't get to 25% just using local inventory. So those two sides must come together to figure out a way to make addressable available on national inventory. Otherwise, you risk, on the digital side, this isn't a problem. And that's why digital as a whole is now bigger than television, and soon mobile alone will be bigger than television. That is not going to go away. It will start to eat television's lunch if television doesn't start to make these capabilities available. So I think that is going to force the hand of the two sides to come together, because if they don't, they both lose.